পাবে না।
People of Bangladesh, they're very, very ungrateful.
আমরা সত্যের জন্য লড়তেছি।
তাহলে কি রাজাকারের নাতিপুতিরা পাবে?
Bangladesh, formerly East Pakistan, officially recognized as the People's Republic of Bangladesh, is often overlooked in global discourse. Bangladesh is a country of immense natural beauty and ecological diversity. Nestled in the heart of South Asia, this deltaic nation is woven together by a network of rivers, lush green landscapes, and a rich tapestry of flora and fauna. Bangladesh is the 8th most populous country in the world and is among the most densely populated countries with a population of nearly 170 million in an area of 148,460 square kilometers. Bangladesh shares land borders with India to the north, west and east and Myanmar to the southeast. At the core of Bangladesh's natural beauty lies its vast network of rivers. The rivers converge to form the largest delta in the world, culminating in the Sundarbans, the world's largest mangrove forest, which is home to the elusive Royal Bengal tiger. The Sundarbans is a UNESCO World Heritage Site, teeming with a variety of wildlife including spotted deer, crocodiles and a plethora of bird species. Bangladesh, with its diverse landscapes and rich biodiversity, is a country of unparalleled natural beauty. From the majestic rivers and mysterious Sundarbans to the serene tea gardens of Sylhet, the rugged Chittagong hill tracts and the pristine beaches of the Bay of Bengal, each region offers its unique charm and ecological importance. So why is it that a country full of such splendor and beauty has been in turmoil and distress over the past 5 decades? Why is there so much oppression and injustice in Bangladesh? Why are the people of Bangladesh in constant fear? To understand this, we must go back 50 years to understand the history of Bangladesh, and only then maybe we might find the answers we're looking for.
এবারে সংগ্রাম আমাদের মুক্তির সংগ্রাম। এবারে সংগ্রাম স্বাধীনতার সংগ্রাম।
During the Bangladesh Liberation War in 1971, the Mukti Bahini, which translates to freedom fighters, emerged as the Bengali resistance force. After talks had been unsuccessful, West Pakistan's President Yahya Khan left Dhaka on the 25th of March 1971. He declared martial law in East Pakistan, banned the Awami League, and ordered the Pakistan Army to arrest Sheikh Mujibur Rahman, simply known as Sheikh Mujib. Sheikh Mujib was part of a liberal, secular and left-wing faction which later became the Awami League. Sheikh Mujib had become the nationalist leader of East Pakistan. The Pakistan Army launched Operation Searchlight. Sheikh Mujib sent telegrams to M.A. Hanan from the Awami League and Major Ziaur Rahman from the East Bengal Regiment, and asked them to announce the Bangladeshi Declaration of Independence.
On behalf of our great national leader, the Supreme Commander of Bangladesh, Sheikh Mujib Rahman, do hereby proclaim the independence of Bangladesh.
Shortly after having declared the independence of Bangladesh, Sheikh Mujib was arrested without charges and flown to prison in West Pakistan after midnight. He was moved to a jail near Faisalabad, which was under heavy guard. Despite international pressure, the Pakistani government refused to release Sheikh Mujib and negotiate with him. Sheikh Mujib's family was kept under house arrest during this period. General Osmani was the key military commanding officer in the Mukti Bahini. The Bangladesh Armed Forces was formally established in November 1971, when Bengali forces secured control of much of the countryside. The Mukti Bahini forced the railway network to shut down to stop Pakistani troop movements. Some of the notable operations of the Mukti Bahini included Operation Jackpot and Operation Barisal. A highly successful guerrilla war was fought against Pakistan. A major insurgency led by the Mukti Bahini arose across East Pakistan. Bengalis continued to defect from Pakistan's diplomatic service, military, police and bureaucracy. In April, they helped Awami League leaders to set up the Provisional Government of Bangladesh, which operated in exile from Calcutta with the support of the Indian government until December 1971. Following Indian intervention in December, the 9-month-long war ended with the surrender of the Pakistan Eastern Command to the Bangladesh-India Allied Forces on the 16th of December 1971. Upon assuming the presidency after Yahya Khan's resignation, Zulfikar Ali Bhutto responded to international pressure and released Sheikh Mujib on the 8th of January 1972. Following the declaration of independence of Bangladesh, Sheikh Mujib was recognized as the father of the nation. In January 1972, Sheikh Mujib introduced a parliamentary republic through a presidential decree. On the 12th of January 1972, Sheikh Mujib took oath and assumed office as Prime Minister of Bangladesh. The emerging state structure was heavily influenced by the British Westminster model. Sheikh Mujib presided over a regime that was built around his personality cult. Sycophants and extreme loyalists developed an ideology called Mujibism. Mujibism refers to the political view held and propagated by Sheikh Mujibur Rahman, the architect of the liberation movement of Bangladesh. Mujibism consists of 4 fundamental policies: nationalism, socialism, democracy, and secularism. When the Constitution of Bangladesh was adopted in 1972, the 4 pillars became the 4 fundamental state policies of Bangladesh. The Bangladesh famine of 1974 began in March and ended in December of the same year. The famine is considered one of the worst in the 20th century. It was characterized by massive flooding along the Brahmaputra River, as well as high mortality. It is estimated that there were 1.5 million deaths at this time in Bangladesh. This number includes the post-famine mortality. Starvation was not the only factor. A significant number of deaths are attributable to cholera, malaria, and diarrheic diseases. Sheikh Mujib's political philosophy dramatically changed in 1975. Elections were approaching in 1977 after the end of his 5-year term. Sheikh Mujib sensed growing dissatisfaction with his regime. He changed the constitution, declared himself president, and established a one-party state which was against the constitution. Arar Ahmed, commenting in the Daily Star, noted that drastic changes were introduced through the adoption of the Fourth Amendment on January 25, 1975, which radically shifted the initial focus of the Constitution and turned it into a single-party presidential system, which curtailed the powers of the Parliament and the judiciary, as well as the space for free speech or public assembly. Censorship was imposed in the press. Civil society groups like the Committee for Civil Liberties and Legal Aid were suppressed. In January 1975, Sheikh Mujibur Rahman introduced one-party socialist rule under Baksal. Rahman banned all newspapers except 4 state-owned publications and amended the constitution to increase his power. The Bangladesh Krishak Shramik Awami League, meaning the Bangladesh Farmers Workers People's League, was created by Sheikh Mujib and became the only legal political party. Bureaucrats and military officers were ordered to join the single party. These actions profoundly impacted Sheikh Mujib's legacy. Many Bangladeshis opposed Awami League and cited his creation of Baksal as the ultimate hypocrisy. The one-party state only lasted for 7 months, till Sheikh Mujib's assassination. Sheikh Mujibur Rahman was assassinated in his personal residence on the 15th of August 1975 during a military coup by army officers. Most of his family members were assassinated on this day, which included his wife, brother, 3 sons and 2 daughters-in-law. Among others, many of Sheikh Mujib's relatives, his personal staff, police officers, a brigadier general of the Bangladesh Army, and many others were killed during the coup. Sheikh Mujib's 2 daughters, Sheikh Hasina and Sheikh Rehana, were the only 2 members of his family to survive the assassination, as they both were studying abroad in West Germany.
Your family was assassinated. Ma'am, in your own words, could you tell me what you faced in those years?
What really happened, only there was a coup
And then we heard that my father was assassinated, but we didn't know that all the family members were, they were assassinated, still alive.
How do you cope with that, ma'am? To know that your entire family is wiped out?
It's a very difficult time.
During Sheikh Mujib's presidency, Tajuddin Ahmad was the first Prime Minister of the newly independent Bangladesh. On the 22nd of August 1975, 1 week after the assassination of Sheikh Mujib, Prime Minister Tajuddin and 3 of his fellow leaders were arrested and imprisoned on the orders of Kondakar Mushtaq Ahmad. On the 3rd of November 1975, when riots broke out at Dhaka Central Jail, Tajuddin and his fellow leaders were killed inside the jail by a group of army officers on the instruction of the newly self-proclaimed President Mushtaq Ahmad. Kondakar Mushtaq Ahmad was the Minister of Commerce under Sheikh Mujib's rule. After the assassination of Sheikh Mujib, Mushtaq Ahmad immediately took control of the government, proclaiming himself the new President of Bangladesh and imposing martial law. All 3 service chiefs were dismissed by Mushtaq Ahmad and replaced by the next-in-line seniors. Major General Ziaur Rahman was appointed Chief of Army Staff of the Bangladesh Army. Mushtaq Ahmad also proclaimed the Indemnity Ordinance on 26 September 1975. This was a controversial law which granted immunity from prosecution to the assassins of Sheikh Mujib. Sheikh Mujib's daughters, Sheikh Hasina and Sheikh Rehana, were barred from returning to Bangladesh from abroad. Baksal, the Awami League Party, and pro-Mujib political groups were dissolved. Historians and critics assert that Mushtaq Ahmad was one of the key plotters of Sheikh Mujib's murder and has been criticized by the Bangladeshi public for legitimizing political murders by protecting Sheikh Mujib's killers. Mushtaq Ahmad was ousted from power following a second coup in Bangladesh on the 3rd of November led by Brigadier Khaled Musharraf and Colonel Shafat Jamil. During the early hours of the 3rd of November 1975, Brigadier Khaled Musharraf and Colonel Shafat Jamil used the Dhaka Brigade to capture all key points around the capital. Major General Ziaur Rahman was forced to resign as Chief of Army Staff, and Brigadier Khaled Musharraf appointed himself as Major General and declared himself as the new Chief of Army Staff. After Khaled Musharraf declared himself as the new Major General Chief of Army Staff, he had arrested former General Ziaur Rahman. Mushtaq Ahmad had held his position as President of Bangladesh for only 4 months and was then imprisoned by the new Major General, Chief of Army Staff Khaled Musharraf. The second coup, spearheaded by Brigadier Khaled Musharraf and Colonel Shafat Jamil, did not go as planned. Before Ziaur Rahman was arrested in the early hours of the 3rd of November 1975, he made a phone call to his friend, Lieutenant Colonel Abu Taher, and urged him to do something. In response, Lieutenant Colonel Abu Taher and his clandestine group, Biplobi Shainik Sangstha, held meetings every night between the 4th and 6th of November in preparation for an uprising against Khaled Musharraf. This new plan for an uprising, which was devised by General Ziaur Rahman and Lieutenant Colonel Abu Taher, was launched during the early hours of the 7th of November 1975. Upon realizing that their 3rd of November coup had been undone, Khaled Musharraf and his men left to seek safety at the headquarters of the 10th Bengal Regiment. Colonel Nawazesh was the commanding officer of the 10th Bengal Regiment. He had received a phone call from General Ziaur Rahman, who asked to ensure the safety of Musharraf and his men. When Khaled Musharraf and his men arrived at the headquarters of the 10th Bengal Regiment, Colonel Nawazesh climbed on top of a jeep and ordered the troops not to harm the 3 men. However, the soldiers were defiant and threatened to kill Nawazesh if he tried to stop them. Musharraf was dragged outside and killed by automatic gunfire. Following the failed coup attempt by Khaled Musharraf on the 6th of November 1975, Chief Justice Abu Sadat Mohammed Sayem was installed as the new president of Bangladesh by the military. Bangladesh was governed by a military junta led by the Chief Martial Law Administrator for 3 years. In 1977, the Chief of Army Staff, Major General Ziaur Rahman, became the 3rd president of Bangladesh. He gained de facto power as head of the government already under martial law imposed by the previous Mushtaq government. General Ziaur Rahman reinstated multi-party politics, privatized industries and newspapers. He reopened the Dhaka Stock Exchange and held the country's second general election. General Ziaur Rahman allowed Sheikh Hasina, the exiled daughter of Sheikh Mujib Rahman, to return to Bangladesh in 1981. In 1978, General Ziaur Rahman ran for and won a 5-year term as president. The next year, elections were held for the National Assembly. Opponents questioned the integrity of the elections. A semi-presidential system evolved, with the Bangladesh Nationalist Party, or BNP, governing until 1982. During his term of power, Ziaur Rahman was criticized for ruthless treatment of his army opposition. Although he enjoyed overall popularity and public confidence, Zia's rehabilitation of some of the most controversial men in Bangladesh aroused fierce opposition from the supporters of the Awami League and veterans of its Mukti Bahini. Amidst speculation and fears of unrest, Ziaur Rahman went on tour to Chittagong on the 29th of May, 1981, to help resolve an intra-party political dispute in the regional BNP. Ziaur Rahman and his entourage stayed overnight at the Chittagong Circuit House. In the early hours of the morning of the 30th of May, he was assassinated by a group of army officers. Following the assassination of General Ziaur Rahman, Vice President Abdus Sattar succeeded to become the new president of Bangladesh. After a year in office, President Abdus Sattar was overthrown in the 1982 Bangladesh coup. At this point, Bangladesh had been witness to 3 coups. Ershad maintained loyalty to the new president Abdus Sattar, who had led the BNP to victory in elections in 1982. Ershad came to power in a bloodless coup on 24 March 1982 as chief martial law administrator. Abdus Sattar, whom only after a 1-year term as president, was replaced with AFM Ahsanuddin Chowdhury as the new president of Bangladesh. However, the then army chief Ershad became the country's de facto leader and assumed the presidency in 1983. In a bid to gain support from the people of Bangladesh in 1986, Ershad lifted martial law, which was established by General Ziaur Rahman. Ershad governed with 4 successive prime ministers, Attar Rahman Khan, Mizanur Rahman Chowdhury, Mudud Ahmed and Qazi Zafar Ahmed. Ershad had a parliament which was dominated by his Jatiyo party. Bangladesh saw violent protests in 1987 calling for the resignation of Ershad. In July, 8 people died in a 54-hour general strike and hundreds were injured. The protest started against a new law that would allow the military to have a role in local development, which was opposed. In October, security forces detained more than 4,300 opposition activists. In November 1987, Ershad banned marches in Dhaka, and on the 28th of November 1987 he declared a state of emergency. This was immediately followed by the arrests of opposition leaders. In January 1988, the government banned all political rallies. In the month of February of the same year, 80 people died in violence related to local council elections. In June 1988, Ershad led the parliament in making Islam the state religion of Bangladesh. He dissolved the Election Reforms Commission after its chairman, Justice Badrul Haider Chowdhury, criticized the government. In January 1990, as part of a major crackdown and to retain control, Ershad banned any form of protests outside of the House of Parliament. Witnessing the injustice, a wide umbrella of political parties united against Ershad. The widowed wife of assassinated President and General Ziaur Rahman, Khaleda Zia, was leading the Bangladesh National Party, BNP. The assassinated Sheikh Mujib's party, Awami League, was being led by his daughter Sheikh Hasina. Both the BNP and Awami League allied with the Islamic political party of Bangladesh, Jamaat-e-Islami Bangladesh. In addition to the alliance of these 3 powerhouses in politics, student activists of various parties united in anti-regime street demonstrations. They were joined by labor unions and government workers. By late November 1990, the uprising shut down government services, and paralyzed the major cities. In a bid to subdue the opposition, Ershad attempted to declare martial law, but Chief of the Army Staff Lieutenant General Nuruddin Khan refused to support him. Ultimately, after much unrest, a mass national uprising, violence and deaths, Ershad was forced to step down as the President of Bangladesh on the 6th of December 1990. Ershad appointed Chief Justice Shahabuddin Ahmed to form an acceptable neutral caretaker government and prepare for democratic elections. This was an innovation that was not provided for in the constitution. Shahabuddin Ahmed immediately placed Ershad under arrest and detained him, an action declared illegal by the Supreme Court in 1998. Shahabuddin Ahmed led the country's first caretaker government as part of the transition to parliamentary rule. After the 1991 general election, the 12th Amendment to the Constitution restored the parliamentary republic, and Khaleda Zia became Bangladesh's first female prime minister. The newly elected Khaleda Zia served as the Prime Minister of Bangladesh from March 1991 to March 1996, and again from June 2001 to October 2006. She was the first female Prime Minister of Bangladesh and second female Prime Minister in the Muslim world. She has been the chairperson and leader of the Bangladesh Nationalist Party, BNP, since 1984, which was founded by her husband in 1978, the assassinated former president, General Ziaur Rahman. Since the 1980s, Khaleda Zia's chief political rival has been the Awami League Party and its leader, Sheikh Hasina, one of the two only surviving family members and daughter of the assassinated first president of Bangladesh, Sheikh Mujibur Rahman. Prime Minister Khaleda Zia also served briefly in the short-lived government in 1996, when many other parties boycotted the general election. In late 1995, the members of parliament of the Awami League and other parties resigned en masse. Parliament completed its 5-year term and the February 1996 general election was held. The election was boycotted by all major parties except the ruling BNP, who won all the seats in the parliament as a result. When the opposition parties boycotted the 1996 election on 15th February, Khaleda Zia's party BNP won a landslide victory. In protest, major opposition parties demanded that a re-election take place, and a neutral caretaker government must be appointed to oversee the new elections. The short-lived parliament hastily introduced the caretaker government by passing the 13th Amendment to the Constitution. The parliament was dissolved to pave the way for parliamentary elections within 90 days and would be overlooked by the neutral caretaker government. In June 1996, a new general election was held under a neutral caretaker government headed by retired Chief Justice Mohammed Rahman. The Awami League won 146 seats, a plurality, but fell short of a simple majority. Khaleda Zia, leader of the BNP, who won 104 seats, denounced the results and alleged vote rigging. This was in contrast with the neutral observers who said that the election was free and fair. In the next round of general elections in 1996, Sheikh Hasina and her Awami League party was elected to power and to serve as the new Prime Minister of Bangladesh. Sheikh Hasina served her first term as Prime Minister of Bangladesh from June 1996 to July 2001. Sheikh Hasina claimed that her party's ideology has been blended with pragmatism and states 4 fundamental principles in guiding its philosophy and policies. These 4 principles at the ethos of the Awami League Party are democracy, socialism, secularism, and nationalism. These are the 4 principles by which her father, Sheikh Mujib, also championed. However, after abandoning his own promised political philosophies and policies, he was assassinated. Awami League has been committed to secularism since 1971 and has kept this at the forefront of their ethos. The party has promoted a strong secular image and depicted itself as a defender of secularism and a party against Islam and Islamism. Most of the party leaders support the restoration of the original constitution of 1972 by removing Islam as the state religion and reinstating it as secular, which is a very controversial move in Bangladesh. Sheikh Hasina and Awami League have been accused of promoting political nationalism, a form of radical and extreme nationalism. This form of nationalism emphasizes exclusion based on political identity and cannot accept political differences in ideology or party support. The party always styles itself as the pro-liberation force and positions itself as the sole custodian of the spirit of liberation war, while diminishing the opposition's contributions to the liberation war of 1971. This philosophy and ideology by Sheikh Hasina and the Awami League have been described as an attempt to delegitimize the opposition in the context of electoral politics. Critiques argue that this type of self-proclaimed interpretation of Bangladesh's liberation war results in an illiberal, narrow-minded socio-political landscape in the country that marginalizes the opposition. In the 2001 general election, despite winning 40% of the popular vote, slightly less than BNP's 41%, Sheikh Hasina and the Awami League won just 62 seats in parliament. The leader of the BNP, Khaleda Zia, had formed an allied party known as the Four-Party Alliance. The four parties in this alliance were BNP, Jamaat-e-Islami Bangladesh, Jatiyo Party and Islami Oikya Jute. This alliance secured a total of 234 seats in the parliament and a victory of 2/3 majority in parliament. Sheikh Hasina herself ran in 3 constituencies and was defeated in a constituency in Rangpur, which included her husband's hometown. Sheikh Hasina and the Awami League rejected these results, claiming that the election was rigged with the assistance of the president and the caretaker government. However, contrary to their claims, the international community was largely satisfied with the elections, and the Four-Party Alliance, led by Khaleda Zia, went on to form a new government in Bangladesh. Khaleda Zia and the Four-Party Alliance participated in the 1st of October 2001 general elections, winning 2/3 of the seats in parliament and 46% of the vote, compared to the principal opposition party's 40%. Khaleda Zia was sworn in as the Prime Minister of Bangladesh for her 2nd term. During her 2nd term as leader of the opposition, political unrest and violence increased. MP Ahsan Ulamaster died after he was shot in May 2004. This was followed by a grenade attack on the 21st of August on an Awami League gathering in Dhaka, resulting in the death of 24 party supporters. On the 29th of October 2006, Khaleda Zia's term as Prime Minister had ended. In accordance with the Constitution, a caretaker government would manage in the 90-day interim before general elections. On the eve of the last day, rioting broke out on the streets of central Dhaka due to uncertainty over who would become chief advisor and head of the caretaker government of Bangladesh. On 28 October 2006, Sheikh Hasina and the Awami League launched the extreme and violent Logi Boitha movement, where thousands of Awami League workers, including their student wing, Chhatra League, participated. The core demand by the Awami League in this violent Logi Boitha movement was that Khondokar Mahmud Hassan should not be appointed as justice in the imminent caretaker government to conduct the general elections scheduled for January 2008. The Awami League alleged that he was sympathetic to the BNP and law enforcement was following his lead. For several days, they occupied many streets of Dhaka, rioting with boat hooks and oars. Vandalism, chaos and lawlessness erupted during these Awami League-led riots. Heinous and violent attacks were carried out on non-partisan innocent bystanders and county rally protesters. As a result of this extremism caused by Awami League and Chhatra League between the 27th and 29th of October, approximately 50 innocent people lost their lives and hundreds more were injured. These extreme riots also resulted in excess vandalism, lootings, as well as soaring prices of daily commodities. Under the Constitution, the immediate past Chief Justice, Khondokar Mahmud Hassan, was to be appointed, but he had declined to take this position. Following this incident, the President of Bangladesh, Yaj-Uddin Ahmed, assumed power as chief advisor on 29 October 2006. He tried to arrange elections and bring all political parties to the table after the months of violence and riots committed by the Awami League. In May 2007, the police filed charge sheets against 19 leaders and activists of the Awami League, Chhatra League, and its affiliates for vandalism, setting fire to and looting the offices of the Islamic Social Welfare Council. But under Sheikh Hasina's rule, all of the accused were acquitted in court in June 2011. Negotiations continued against a backdrop of political bickering, protests and polarization that threatened the economy. Officially, on the 26th of December 2006, all political parties joined the planned 22nd of January 2007 elections. However, Sheikh Hasina and Awami League pulled out from the planned elections at the last minute, causing more problems and chaos. As a result of this action by Sheikh Hasina and Awami League, President Iyad Uddin Ahmed was compelled to declare a state of emergency. Consequently, Lieutenant General Moin Uddin Ahmed took control of the government. Any form of political activity was prohibited. The Bangladesh military remained in governance and power in Bangladesh until the general elections in December 2008. Once a state of emergency was declared and under military rule, Hasina went to the United States Embassy on the 14th of March, and the following day she flew to the United States of America. Following her visit, she then moved to the United Kingdom. In 2007, the caretaker government pursued graft and corruption charges against both major party leaders and some of their senior staff, trying to clean up the country, which was notorious for corruption. It filed charges against 160 politicians, civil servants and businessmen, including Ziaur Rahman and Arafat Rahman, two sons of the former Prime Minister Khaleda Zia, who were both active in the BNP. Later in the year, the government filed charges of corruption against both Khaleda Zia and Sheikh Hasina. This anti-corruption effort was greeted with approval by the people, who were tired of government officials siphoning off the country's wealth. On the 11th of April 2007, the police filed murder charges against Sheikh Hasina, alleging that she masterminded the killing in October 2006 of 4 supporters of a rival political party. The 4 victims were beaten to death during clashes between the Awami League and rival party activists. In April 2007, the media reported that the caretaker government was trying to force both major party leaders out of the country. Supporters of Khaleda Zia were negotiating for her to go to Saudi Arabia, but that country declined. The caretaker government had also been attempting to get Khaleda Zia to leave the country. However, Khaleda Zia remained in Bangladesh. On the 18th of April 2007, the caretaker government banned Sheikh Hasina from returning to Bangladesh, stating that she had made provocative statements and that her return could cause disorder. This was only a temporary measure taken by the government for the protection of the people of Bangladesh. On the 22nd of April 2007, a warrant was issued for her arrest for murder. Describing the case against her as totally false and fake, Sheikh Hasina stated that she wanted to defend herself against the charges in the courts of Bangladesh. On the 23rd of April 2007, the arrest warrant was suspended. By the 26th of April 2007, the government had changed its position and allowed Sheikh Hasina to return and both leaders to resume political activities. After spending 51 days abroad in the United States and the United Kingdom, Sheikh Hasina returned to Bangladesh on the 7th of May 2007. On the 16th of July 2007, Sheikh Hasina was arrested by police at her home and taken before a local court in Bangladesh's capital, Dhaka. She was accused of extortion, denied bail, and was held in a building which was converted into a jail on the premises of the National Parliament. The Awami League leaders stated that the arrest was politically motivated. On the 17th of July 2007, the Anti-Corruption Commission sent notices to former Prime Ministers Sheikh Hasina and Khaleda Zia, instructing them to provide details of their assets within 1 week. Some critiques have suggested that these arrests of the political leaders by the military-backed interim government were seen as a move to force Sheikh Hasina and Khaleda Zia out of the country and into political exile. On the 2nd of September 2007, an additional case was filed against Sheikh Hasina by the Anti-Corruption Commission, regarding the awarding of a contract for the construction of a power plant in 1997, for which she allegedly took a bribe of 30 million takas. She was accused of having forced businessman Tajul Islam Farouk to pay bribes in 1998 before his company could build a power plant. Farouk confirmed this and said that he had bribed Sheikh Hasina and paid her for approving his project. On the 13th of January 2008, Sheikh Hasina was indicted on extortion charges by a special court along with her sister Sheikh Rehana and her cousin Sheikh Selim. On the 6th of February 2008, the High Court stopped the trial, ruling that she could not be prosecuted under emergency laws for crimes alleged to have been committed prior to the imposition of the state of emergency. On the 11th of June 2008, Sheikh Hasina was released on parole for medical reasons, and the following day she flew to the United States to be treated for hearing impairment, eye problems, and high blood pressure. On the 2nd of September, the government filed charges of corruption against Khaleda Zia related to the awarding of contracts to Global Agro Trade Company in 2003. She was arrested on the 3rd of September and was detained in a makeshift prison on the Parliament building premises. Khaleda Zia was asked to appear in court on the 27th of September in connection with a case for not submitting service returns for daily Dinkel publications for years. Zia was released on bail on the 11th of September 2008 from her year-long detention. After holding power for more than a year, on the 4th of August 2008, the Bangladeshi caretaker government decided to hold local elections in some locations across Bangladesh. The main parties criticized this as unconstitutional. However, the caretaker government held mayoral elections in which Awami League won 12 out of 13 elections. General elections were held on the 29th of December 2008, when the Awami League and its Grand Alliance won 2/3 of the seats in Parliament.